This is Hoosier Ag Today. I'm Eric Pfeiffer reporting on Indiana agriculture and doing so today from the new Blue Room presented by AgriNovus Indiana. And Beth Bechdol is kind enough here to take me on a personal tour.
It's actually kind of my first tour, so this is going to be exciting for me. I haven't officially walked the entire room, so I'm happy to be doing it with you.
Well, let's talk first about where the idea came from, what we decided to do here. Obviously, we wanted to bring another experience for FFA young people that are coming to Indianapolis, but this is just beyond what you could have imagined, right?
It is totally beyond what I imagined. It's beyond what some of us imagined and drew on a back of a cocktail napkin or a yellow pad piece of paper 4 years ago. You know, I was in leadership on the National FFA organization about 4 years ago, and at the same time, as you know, the history of AgriNovus, we're only about 3 years old, and so AgriNovus was in that sort of brainchild formative. So I was at a time for me personally where I was living, breathing, eating, sleeping technology, agriculture, and young people. And all of a sudden, right, the idea sort of struck a small number of us of, why aren't we doing more at convention to really showcase modern 21st century tech, cutting edge innovation in food and agriculture? And we sketched out a Blue Room 4 years ago. And now here we are, and it's real. And it's 17,000 square feet of space inside the Indianapolis Convention Center that I think is going to just be incredibly inspiring to all of these kids.
Well, let's go ahead, go on our tour here, and I'll try not to trip any of these students that you're wanting to actually, you know, show the room off to here, but just give us some highlights as we go around the room here. I'll just kind of let you explain what it is that's going on around here.
So you have sort of on the perimeter of the room a lot of very modern looking, very unified, very consistent appearing booths that are all representing companies that are doing really amazing innovation work in food and agriculture. And so there was something about making sure that this room sort of looked a little Silicon Valley, kind of techie, right? But also it sort of looks like an Apple or a Microsoft, I shouldn't say Apple, Microsoft, as Microsoft is one of our title sponsors, looks like a Microsoft store, right? It's those clean lines and cool lighting and really amazing seating. And we wanted this room to just almost on its own, even before you get to see one piece of technology or hear a really cool story from somebody really inspiring, the room itself needed to be a magnet for these kids. And a magnet for high school kids is a little different than maybe it would be for you and me, right? In terms of what they want to see and what they're excited by. So it was really important for us to really make sure that the room design itself just was cool. And I think we have succeeded. So along the perimeter, you've got all of these great companies that are, again, showing their latest and greatest technology. They've got great people representing their companies to talk to students about innovation in their company in agriculture. Great charging stations. You can't have high school kids in a room without charging stations. Comfy seating, and we'll get around to it. But well, the other thing, we got a blue carpet here, right? So that was the other cool part of this, was to make it feel sort of movie premiere red carpet style. So these kids walk into the Blue Room and here they go, right? Straight down the blue carpet, the FFA blue carpet, right to the Blue Room Blue 365 booth. And then from there they get to keep exploring.
So let's talk about some of these companies and who we have here. We've got a College Corner as well. Yeah. Who's here that's really presenting and supporting this endeavor as well?
Okay, well, I have to call out two of my homegrown Indiana AgriNovus supporters, which are Elanco and Corteva. You know, they have been with AgriNovus from the very beginning. They are huge supporters of our organization and believe in what we're doing in Indiana. But also, both of those companies have been long-standing donors and supporters of National FFA. So when AgriNovus saw this opportunity, what a great combination of business leaders to come together, going and giving our pro-Indiana story. We're going to do this here, and we're going to make sure that the Indiana Ag Bioscience story is showcased here. But they also believe in the future of these kids and making sure that these powerful messages are delivered. But aside from those two, there's other great companies that are going to be at the global level, at at the national level, showcasing their technology here. So there's Cargill, there's BASF, Sealed Air, FMC. There's all kinds of companies that I think will have this opportunity over the 3 days to really kind of, show how innovative they are.
And what are you hoping as kids go through the room? What are you hoping the takeaway is for them that maybe wouldn't have been brought to their attention otherwise?
Well, so one is maybe not quite at the individual student level, but just the experience in and of itself. I want to demonstrate to every person who comes into this room and make the assertion, agriculture is cool. Agriculture is tech intensive. Agriculture is modern. Agriculture is innovative. And so being able to showcase technology and research in this space, that's just kind of the overarching takeaway that you really hope any person, right? A student, their teacher, someone from industry, we kind of validate that and do oh yeah, and we should be proud of that, right? The second thing is at the student level. We all have had moments in our life where you have just that spark, that aha moment. I call them light bulb moments, where something just impacts you. It gives you a new idea about something you're passionate about. It gives you a new idea about your own future. And it's perfect that the FFA theme this year is just one. Because I truly believe this, that if just one student, just one, over the 3 days here, has an idea or hears something or meets someone that inspires them to do something bigger than they thought they could in food and agriculture, that's success. And so I hope it's more than one student who has that idea. For some of them, it might actually happen, like today at 3:45 when they're in the room. For others, they might go home and it's 6 months from now and they're having a conversation with their FFA advisor. They're having a conversation with their parents. It might be 5 years from now when they all of a sudden have their aha moment and remember something that they saw or heard in the Blue Room. Doesn't really matter. We won't know when those moments are, but I hope we create those moments.
And are there going to be presentations in here as well? Obviously, we've got the big stage up here.
How cool is that,
I mean,
right?
it's an incredible, we've got big screen TVs around it. I mean, there's going to be presentations going on in here as well,
All
right?
3 days. So this is a 40-foot diameter center stage with unbelievable video capabilities, tremendous lighting, and over the 3 days there are going to be probably 10-minute style TED Talks that are going to occur at different times through the Blue Room schedule for the students to really sort of sit down, listen, take some new information in. And what I love about the planning that went into this was two things were requirements for these speakers. One, they had to be inspiring. They had to have an inspiring message. They had to have a cool message. But really the most important, because again, they're high school students, these speakers are relatable, right? So for example, AgriNovus has two speakers that are going to be on stage later in the week. It's not Beth Bechdol, the president and CEO of AgriNovus Indiana, who's going to be talking to these kids. I don't know that I'm all that relatable to them. We have two of our board members who have, both started companies, have really diverse backgrounds, didn't come from agriculture. One's a young woman in her early 20s who went to Indiana University and is doing an IoT beehive startup company that's kind of like just changing, the way she thinks about agriculture and pollinators. And, she's an entrepreneur and she's got an amazing story to tell. And the other is one of our board members who has been based at Purdue as a robotics professor, started a company that was all focused on pest management, had never grown up in agriculture. He actually is from Korea. He's got an amazing personal journey. Here's why agriculture matters to me story to tell. So those are the kinds of people and the kinds of stories that I think over the course of the 3 days the kids are going to get to hear.
And just one last thing I want to check out here. I see Startup Street over here in the corner. I assume that that's talking about being entrepreneurial and taking kids down that path as well.
Exactly. So I think a lot of times we fall into the, sort of natural misperception that the innovation and technology that happens in agriculture only comes from companies that have big R&D budgets, have a lot of money in their, sort of research portfolios. And really some of the greatest, coolest ideas are coming coming out of one-person, two-person companies that are just trying to, take a cool idea and turn it into a commercial business, a commercial technology. And so that was really important part of this room, was to make sure that students saw that innovation in technology is happening in big companies, in small companies, in an entrepreneur's head or mind. It's happening in colleges and universities. We wanted to make sure that they got kind of that diversity of thought and that diversity of importance to food and agriculture.
The Blue Room, it premiered here at the National FFA Convention and Expo. Obviously, Beth is very excited about it. The kids that are in here are very excited about it. It's a tremendous opportunity for them. And thank you very much for doing this. And thanks for presenting the Blue Room to the FFA Convention.
Thanks for letting us give you a tour, and thanks for being here on our opening session for the ribbon cutting. Really appreciate it.
This is Hoosier Ag Today, Indiana's leading farm network.